Feel like the richest man in Babylon, and I've done my best, so everything's alright inside. Every morning, I rise, I stare at the sun. I know. Even if they fight you down, tell them still I rise, still I rise, still I rise. Yeah, it's J Buzz bigging up 88.5 Super FM. Anytime we sign in, we not sign out. Large, Maddy.
Eighty-eight point five Super FM. It is now 15 minutes past the hour of 10 a.m. I am yours truly. Good morning, listeners, and welcome inside. Joining me in studio today, we have officials from the Department of Forest and Land Resources Development and Wildlife Division. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome inside the studios of Super FM.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. Thank you very much.
Okay, can you kindly introduce yourself?
I am Douglas Gaston, Forestry Officer within the Super Ridge.
Yeah, so my name is PIUS Haynes, and I am the acting assistant chief forest officer, and I'm also responsible for wildlife management.
Okay. And just tell us what the reason for your visit here is today.
Right, so we have a problem in the Sufre Basin as it relates to wildlife management, wildlife conservation, and this has to do with a species called the green iguana. So we have in St. Lucia we have two different species of iguana. We have our local iguana, which is called the St. Lucia iguana, and you find that iguana more or less along the along the northeast coast. So we're talking about places like from Fondo area in Dennery, going all the way up to passing through Lacaille, Lime, going down to Louvet, Granans, Marquis, throughout the Babuno community. So we're talking about the northeast coast. That is where you find the local St. Lucia iguana. However, we have a foreign iguana, an alien, one that did not belong to St. Lucia before, and it is established in the Soufre Basin. And unfortunately, it has even spilled over to Vieux-Fort. So we want to talk about that problem because it has become a major problem. We're going to talk about how it originated and what we could do to help manage and control
Okay.
that situation.
So tell us how this whole problem came about.
Right. So already human beings, we are the ones interfering with nature most times and creating the problems. So that invasive green iguana, and it's also called the American iguana. Um, and then
American.
yeah, it's
So
called
it's an
the
American.
American iguana. They call it the American iguana because it comes from South and Central America. That is where it belongs.
Okay.
South Central America. So you're talking about southern Brazil, Paraguay, and Mexico. These areas. That is where that iguana is supposed to be, not in St. Lucia. All right. So yeah. So today we just want to put everything into perspective and just talk about this whole issue. But of course, Mr. Gaston has a lot of local knowledge that he's going to share with the local folks.
Okay, so Mr. Gasto, can you just tell us how come we have a American iguana in Saint Lucia? How did it get here?
Well, it was actually brought in by some locals who live in the Sufer region.
Yeah, so it's the pet trade. As I told you earlier, human beings. See, nuki go problem la. So muna mene laser, they call it laser in Pato, it goes andoli. Uh, they brought it in from Canada actually. It was actually brought in as a pet. That was back in the late 80s thereabout. And it was kept in a cage in the Sufre area. And some way, somehow, the thing got
Lost.
loose, it escaped. And now they breeding like wildfire in the Sufre area. So now from around the early 2000s, like 2000 and between 2004, 5, 6, thereabout, between 2004, 2006, then we started seeing those iguanas emerging in different communities. And perhaps, you can mention those communities that we
Uh,
find that iguana.
Areas like Diamond, Ravenclair, Torai, especially in the Torai waterfall area.
What are you trying? You trying to scare me?
Zeno, uh, all other places such as by the secondary school, new development.
Really?
In fact, just say the entire Sufer.
Just separate.
Yeah,
Crestlands.
Crestland area. Yeah.
Okay, so my question is, knowing that this iguana poses a threat to us, why was it allowed into St. Lucia, even if it was brought in as a pet?
Yes.
Is there anything that could have been done to avoid this from coming into the country?
Right. So let me put the effect in who it affects into perspective. It affects mainly our native or local endemic biodiversity, especially reptiles. And I've mentioned this in the iguana. It affects our local iguana, our local wildlife, especially this Indonesia iguana. Um, the thing about it is normally wed. And but of course sometimes we take chances, we do illegal stuff. It was illegal to bring in that iguana from Canada into St. Lucia.
Sure.
It was smuggled in. So it came in under wraps. I don't know how they got through, but it came through. But by right, they were supposed to have been stopped at the borders. But sometimes things pass here. So it was an illegal act.
Okay. Okay, let's get down into the nitty-gritty here. Tell us more about this iguana and what it can do to us.
Right. So the green iguana, the invasive green iguana or the American iguana, as I've said, it doesn't belong to us. So it never formed part of our natural environment. It never formed part of our endemic or native local biodiversity. But the St. Lucia iguana is ours. It is local. It belongs to St. Lucia. So now, if we allow that green iguana to continue multiplying and to continue spreading, then, but of course, we're going to have the issue where it will interbreed with the St. Lucia iguana. It will create a new, more or less species. It's a hybrid they're going to create. And that will cause contamination of our purebred iguana. So no more will St. Lucia have a purebred iguana. Whereas, you have something that belongs to you. Because of intermingling and mixing and contamination of the genes, then you have a new thing, a new species,
And they
which,
also a lot more than ours,
yes.
a lot more eggs.
So, and then you have other things. For example, that iguana, if you allow it to continue like this, we're going to have a big problem in our hands. Not only will it affect our purebred iguanas through hybridization, but then you're going to have a lot of competition. Okay, the very same ecological requirements, the very same things that a Senosha iguana needs to survive, that iguana needs the same thing too. So they're going to compete. Also, it has a potential to become a pest for agricultural pest, because they are herbivores. They eat
Oh,
soft
herbivores.
fruits and
Okay.
leaves, so they can end up eating farmers' crops.
Is there a chance of them killing the other one? Like, you see food and I know you ought to get my food, so I'm going to harm you.
Well, I mean, there will be rivalry between the two species. It doesn't necessarily mean that it might end up physically fighting and killing, but then the killing will come in the long run because they will outcompete them for food, outcompete them for everything, and but of course, eventually they will just phase them out. So that is what we don't want.
Okay. Are there any special features that distinguish the two iguanas?
Very. So um, When we talk about the distinguishing, how to identify an invasive green iguana from our local St. Lucia iguana, we have to look at the head features and the body. That is where basically the differences are. The tail, if the tail of both species is more or less the same, but the St. Lucia iguana has those characteristic or what you call vertical black bands across his body. So the other iguana doesn't have that. So if you look at a St. Lucia iguana, you'll see that some black bands
Yeah.
going across his body. Both male and females have that, but it's only in the adults. Then the other key thing that you have to look at is what we refer to as in part they call it majol. It's the dewlap, the thing they have
I mean, meaning
For
the
the
fruit.
under the
tongue?
throat. Yes, yes. They call that the dewlap, and a lot of people are afraid of it. Once they see the iguana, you know,
It's shaking.
exposing that, they
Yeah.
get even afraid. So the dewlap in the St. iguana is typically blackish in color. St. iguana has black dewlap, but then the other iguana has grayish dewlap, and especially in the males, it has some rustic or rusty orange in it. Okay. Now the other thing as well is in the invasive iguana, the thing they have in Sufre, the invasive iguana they have in Sufre. In the adults, it has a big modified scale by the eardrum. That is very, very pronounced, very conspicuous in the invasive iguana, but the Seneca iguana, they call it the subtype plate. It's more or less a modified scale. And that scale is more pronounced in the invasive iguana and less pronounced in
In
the
the
Seneca
solution.
iguana. Also, another key thing is that what you refer to as the dorsal scales, like those modified scales that you have on the back
On the back.
of the iguana, like from the head going all the way down to the tail. In the St. iguana, it's more well developed, especially in the male iguanas. The male iguanas have some well
Spike.
big spiky things on the back, but the invasive iguana doesn't have that.
It's pretty small.
Okay, so these are the ones that you could see most visibly when you look at the iguana. But then there are other little nitty gritties that we don't really have to go into right now.
Okay. So tell us, when we see those things around the place, especially in Sufre, should we run or should we just take a stone and lash them out? What should we do?
What do you think, Mr.
No,
East?
definitely we should well, the local should give either me a call or Mr. Haynes or anybody from the Sufre area, well, the Sufre
Green.
forestry department, and we will definitely follow up
Yeah. So basically, we were saying
our
here,
office.
pièce moun ki wè en Gozandoli Soufouye, majority de le, well, most the probability of seeing an iguana here would most likely be an invasive iguana.
Yeah.
I don't think we will see the native here unless somebody were to bring it here.
Is
So,
there a reason for that?
well, people want to traffic those things. People want to
I know there was a time where there were a lot of iguanas in Sufre.
well, St.
That is the
Lucia
same invasive.
That was like,
is still
Yes,
invasive because
still
remember
the
I told
invasive
you
one.
from the
Yeah.
1980s that it has been here. Now, the other thing that we have to mention as well is St. Lucia is called Ayanola, and that is that
It's because of
is the land of the iguanas.
yeah.
Whole of St. Lucia had iguanas. But because of development, because of deforestation, because of loss of habitat, it has been confined to the northeast coast. So I want persons to contact the Soufre range, Soufre forestry subdivision. They have to call the Soufre range.
Our number is
Yes, you can give them the
four five
number.
seven 1427. That's our office number, or our cell phone number, which is 720-8915.
Maybe you should repeat the number.
Yeah, our office number 457-1427, and cell phone number 720-8915.
And you can also call the wildlife unit at
Oh yeah,
518-7154. 518-7154.
and bear in mind you could call at any time of day. We will respond.
So you're sleeping at night.
Yeah.
even if
gonna
you're
be?
We
in
will
bed,
respond
even if you're
At
in
midnight.
bed by you know who,
Yeah.
they can call you.
We will respond.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, so yeah, we want persons to contact forestry because we need to control these iguanas. We cannot allow them to continue multiplying and spreading around the place.
Okay, so are there offenses towards these things?
Yes, so we have what you call the St. Lucia Wildlife Protection Act of 1980. It's more or less our legislation that we use for wildlife management, conservation, and protection in St. Lucia. So it is an offense for anybody to have an iguana in captivity without a valid permit or license. So no matter which iguana, be it the invasive green iguana or the local iguana, and also all wildlife, people are not allowed to have those wildlife, in captivity without a permit. That is why we we want to work with the communities. So if they cite the iguana, if they can hold the iguana, in that case, we can make a distinction, and we can make an exception.
Yeah.
If they can catch the iguana for us, but then give us a call, so we can come in and take on we can come in and we can take possession of the animals. But to say that somebody wants to have the iguana in a cage for an extended period of time, maybe for other purposes, like maybe for display or for pets or for whatever it is, then that is illegal. But in the case of the super iguana, forestry is willing that persons actually, if they can catch the iguana, you know,
And just give us a call.
then give us a call and then we come over and we get the iguana.
Is there a reward attached to that?
Uh, right now we don't have any monetary reward. We used to have a project back in 2012, 2013. There was an invasive species project where under the project we were able to cater and budget for that. But right now we do not have that facility yet. So right now we're depending upon the goodness and um, the will, the voluntary will of the people
People.
to assist us being patriotic and understanding the whole problem and also participating in the whole conservation solution, the solution of the problem. So we asking persons to
I see. But I'm a bit perturbed. We speak of wildlife, so they belong out there. But why is there a need to protect these species if they are harmful to us?
who says they're harmful to us?
Well, some of them,
Like which
Like
one?
what?
some of them.
Let me tell you. You see, the thing is, we need to perhaps change that mindset, because the thing about it is we cannot live without nature. Human beings, we cannot survive without nature. It's impossible for us to survive without the interaction and the coexistence that needs to be with nature.
To some extent.
Yes. Okay, because if you don't have nature, which involves both plants and animals, the flora and the fauna, I mean, how can you enjoy a good quality of life?
Yeah.
Because we need the
Oxygen.
oxygen, we need the animals to condition the natural environment. So the animals play a very important role in improving the quality of our life. So we have to learn how to coexist with nature. Now, the animals we have in St. Lucia, the wildlife, the only wildlife we have in St. Lucia that poses a major health risk is the venomous St. Lucia featherless.
Okay, so
Okay,
why do you want us to protect these species?
all
But
right.
if we don't protect it, then we'll have too many rats, too many rodents running around. You would not be okay to be walking around Soufriere or walking about anywhere in St. Lucia and see rodents crawling all over the area.
But I walk the streets, I see rodents in the streets, but I don't see any of them in the streets.
That's because we don't have. If we had more snakes in Soufriere, we would have less of that problem.
Okay, let's not talk too much about it.
Well, you see, the let me make something clear here. Um, we don't want to dive too much into snakes because
Yeah.
we're focusing on the
Iguanas.
iguanas today. But we have four snake species. Okay, among the four snake species we have one that is not protected by law, which is the St. Lucia featherless.
The featherless.
Okay, the featherless is not. It's under Schedule 3. Okay, it's unprotected wildlife as it is now. Um, now, all the other animals we have are harmless. Even the St. Lucia iguana, the iguanas are harmless. There's no way an iguana could harm anybody.
Yeah.
Okay, the most they'll do is use the tail as a defense mechanism. They whip with their tail. But the iguanas, if they bite you, it doesn't mean that it will create any issues. There's no way an iguana could harm you. There's no venom in its mouth or nothing like that. Okay, all the other animals, our birds, we have the majority of our life. The majority of it, well, we have birds, reptiles. Okay, we have a few mammals, but we have more birds and reptiles.
Right.
We don't have any of these huge creatures, mammals and stuff like that, like alligators and stuff. We don't have these things. So now education is important because we need to educate our people as to how to learn to appreciate those things. Now, it has also a lot of other importance. apart from the ecological importance and also the environmental benefits and so on, we could actually use those wildlife to improve our quality of life by also sorry we could also use it for livelihood opportunities. Okay, we could use it to help, for example, to derive or gain socioeconomic benefits. You have beautiful birds in St. Lucia, you could use it. You could have bird watching
Bird
tours.
watching.
Okay, you have iguanas. St. Lucia iguana, you could bring people also to sightsee iguanas and so on in a natural habitat. And so there are benefits to be gained from properly managing and controlling our wildlife. Also, in other countries, wildlife can be managed also as a source of food. Not all, but some of them, based on their population and so on, and also studies done, it also be used or seen as a source of food. So these are some of the benefits that we get from our wildlife, and these are the reasons why we need to manage it, we need to protect it, and we need to preserve.
Okay. Someone is asking if they are a danger to our local iguanas, why not get rid of them?
That's what we were basically trying, but
It's a very difficult task.
difficult task.
But
Yeah.
then the aim here is, and this is why we're here. We're here basically to inform the public, the wider the Suffolk area, and also the general public of the presence of this invasive green iguana. And we would like the public to collaborate with us, call us, when they see these iguanas, so that they can come in, because we need to control the population. It will be very difficult to eradicate every last iguana. It's going to be a very expensive endeavor, and it's going to be very difficult because of where they live, the terrain, and everything like that, and also the rate of breeding. But with the help of the communities, then we can help control the population. Okay, so we control the population, we manage the population, and if we can um, exterminate every invasive green iguana, then that would be a plus for us. But we have to do it in a strategic way. We have to do it in a coordinated manner. We can't just do it any and everyhow, because there's a lot to be done. Persons still don't know the difference between the two iguanas, so we have to be involved. Right now, we don't have a program. We don't have a culling program by the. We don't have a general public culling program. It is forestry that manages it. It is forestry that does the control.
Okay, so is there any other activity or any plan that you have to educate the public as to what exactly they should know between the two iguanas?
Yeah, well, we currently we doing what you call a, well, we have a wildlife documentary that we're doing. So then we will be showcasing the difference between the St. Lucia iguana and the invasive green iguana, also the difference between the featherless and the St. Lucia boa. In fact, just showcasing all of our wildlife.
Wildlife.
So that we have a documentary in the works, and it should be released by mid-year this year.
And also, normally we do some community outreach on Fridays. We go to the different communities around Sufre and even show them some pictures to show them the difference between them. Ask them if they see any that they should call us and all of that.
Yeah, so
Show
the
them the
software
difference.
range, they have that as part of their work program.
Yeah.
So every at the year, so they have to
So
go
why
around.
didn't you bring the iguana here today?
To
Yeah.
showcase.
Not for me, but for the public.
We did that recently. It was
Yeah.
we actually got an iguana, and we were able to show the difference between the two species. Now, I think so Software Range is doing the local community based work. So house to house, door to door, focus groups in Sufre. They're doing that. However, on a national level, things like radio programs, documentaries, television programs, and so on. These are the ways. Or also school visits. We do school visits, and we
Yeah.
go to the different schools, show them the different animals and so on. Now we also have to highlight here that the iguana problem has spilled over to the Viewfort area, and this is a very, very, very vexing issue for forestry. Forestry is really, really, really mad at persons who are involved in that, and we are going to be coming down really, really hard on persons translocating those species from one area to the next, especially the Seneca iguana. Sorry, especially the invasive iguana, because somebody came into Sufre, they got a few. iguanas from the Suffolk area, brought it to Viewfort, and now the same thing happened. The iguana got,
Escape.
yeah, they escaped, and now we have a problem in Black Bay, Viewfort, in Cantonment, Viewfort, Auger. So these are the three core areas that we have issues with right now: Cantonment, Black Bay, and the Auger area. And now we are getting those iguanas there. As a matter of fact, just recently, we had to collect an iguana that was on the UCLEC facility in Viewfort, Cantonment. So these iguanas are breeding, and we have evidence that they are breeding there in the Viewfort area. And
So you're founding this.
now is the breeding season. The breeding season is from the month of February, goes down to May. And here's the alarming thing. Whereas the Sanusha iguana will produce a clutch of um, 25 eggs, more or less, the invasive green iguana will produce double that. We have seen from 38 eggs up to 52 eggs. And the one that we got in Viewfort, it had eggs in it. So it was about to lay during that nesting period. So these are the things that you know. And then during now from and one of the reasons why we're here is to tell people that especially now in the breeding season, you will see the females more than usual because they come out to nest in the sand. They like to nest in sandy soils, in sand itself, in nice soft soils. That is where you might find them. Along the river banks. Okay, so persons in the different communities that you mentioned, Douglas, they should take note and we'd really appreciate the call.
Okay. Are there any solutions that you have come up with to help solve this issue?
Perhaps Douglas will tell you what we do in the super region, and he's mentioned it already.
Well,
We can just
yeah,
repeat.
as I mentioned earlier, what we do to try to eradicate those iguanas, we'd go in, try to capture them. Um, I don't want to go into extra of what we do after capturing them, but we'd more or less just go in and capture them, try to see if we could spot them, and well, I guess that's basically what we do.
Yeah. So as I've said, it is an intricate issue. It's a major problem that needs to be well strategized and organized. So we have those patrols. So the Sufa Range, they would do their patrols every week. They go in the
Fridays.
different communities, do their foot patrol. Also, when persons from different areas get the iguanas, they would call, and we go in, and we take the iguanas. Um, Also, right now, we're here on this program just to kind of like sensitize
The
the
public.
public a bit more and to ask them,
Inform them a bit
please,
more.
to contact us when they spot an iguana in this area. Call us so we can come in.
Okay.
And then
Can
we
we
don't want
just
persons to have those iguanas. Don't want, there are some persons who are animal lovers, they are pet lovers and so on, and they like to hold or harbor these animals. I'm letting them know that it's illegal to do so without a valid permit or license.
Also, we wouldn't ask anybody to do any killing of the iguanas because definitely some people don't know how to identify them. So by you doing the killing, we wouldn't advise any of that.
um can you just give them the contact information for your department?
Yeah, so the wildlife unit, you could call out the cell phone number 518-7154, and Douglas would also give
Super
you.
cell number 720-8915 and the office number 457-1427.
Okay. um what are the expectations for the division and the departments
In what regard?
in terms of the iguana issue that you are now faced with?
Yes. So on a departmental level, we would like to manage the invasive iguana problem that we have in Sufre in such a way that we can keep it contained in the Sufre area. Don't let it spill over. Now we have the issue with Hifot. So now we have to strategize, come up with a plan for us to for us to do a rapid eradication in the Hifot area because it is still possible. We still have that small window where we can endeavor doing so with the help of the community in there. Um, we want to contain the problem. We will not be able at this point in time to completely eradicate it because of the how prolific the iguanas are, how they nest and they produce a lot of offspring. But we want to manage it. Okay, we want to control it. All right. The other thing as well that we want to manage is we do not want to have the hybridization taking place between those two species. We don't want the invasive iguana to be mating with the Seneca iguana and creating a new, we're creating a hybrid. We don't want that. Um, so that is so our expectation more or less is to try and maintain the Seneca iguana as a purebred species, try and control the population of the invasive green iguana and contain it to Soufre and eradicate it in the pivot area.
Okay. I know that you're trying to contain the situation, but God forbid, but should there be a situation where there is a hybrid has been created, what is the department or what plans have you all taken to control this?
Right. So, I mean, given the fluidity of that whole thing, given the magnitude of the problem, we we envisage or we almost expecting that if persons don't do as they should, then inevitably we may have the hybridization. So now what we are putting measures in place to help maintain a certain subgroup of the Senusha iguana, purebred. So we have what you call the we have the union, we have the Wildlife Conservation Education Center. We have some iguanas in the Wildlife Conservation Education Center at Union. Um, we need to maintain pure lines in there. Also, we have a conservation program that we are yet to develop on the west coast in the Canaries area, in Ansla Liberté, in the Canaries area. Now, this is what we call that conservation program a mainland island. A mainland island basically is an enclosed area with a predator-proof fence. It's more like an area that is fenced on the mainland to prevent any predators from coming in, any
Or
unwanted
going out?
invaders, any invaders from coming in. So we're going to be relocating purebred iguanas, pure line iguanas, sorry, into this mainland island. Um, Also, we have currently conceptualized, or we are currently conceptualizing a project trying to seek funding for us to determine whether or not we do have hybridization and at what level do we have that hybridization. And then the other major component that we have to focus on is public awareness and sensitization. That is very, very important.
Yes.
As long as persons get the message, as long as the public understands what the implications are in this whole thing, I think half or even more than that of the problem is solved because we would
It will
assist
definitely
in the whole
assist. Yeah.
conservation effort.
I wish you and your departments all the best in that endeavor.
Thank you. We
Yes.
appreciate it.
Yes. Mr. Gaston, do you have any last words?
No, that's about it for me.
Mr. Hayes, do you have any last words?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was really a short program.
Yes.
Don't we still have 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Very informative. Very short,
Yeah,
but very
well,
informative.
okay. Really and truly, I would like to encourage the Salvation public to appreciate what is ours. And what is ours entails not only the, the, the beautiful beaches and the beautiful landscape and so on. Our natural environment forms part of our existence. It forms part of our heritage, of our patrimony. And what we have, our reptiles that are unique to St. Lucia, our birds that are unique to St. Lucia, that you would not find them anywhere else in the world. We would like persons to appreciate those things because not only are they beneficial for us to help us live a better quality of life, they also have a lot of tremendous benefits that I've mentioned earlier that we could use them in a sustainable manner to help us improve our life and our livelihoods. So I'd like to encourage Sufre folks to help forestry in the management of this invasive green iguana that we have in the Sufre Basin, as well as folks who are within the cantonment, Black Bay, and Auger area to help us contain this green iguana. If you see any iguanas, any sightings that you make of these iguanas, please contact forestry either at the SUFRE office or at the wildlife unit in Union Castries.
Yes. You mentioned that we should appreciate what is ours,
Yes.
but I don't think a lot of persons know how to appreciate those things simply because they are not aware of the benefits of these species to them. So I think the department
Yeah, we need to
has
do
a
more.
long way to go in
Yes.
showing persons why or how they can go about appreciating what is ours.
Yes, it's true. I mean, it's our mandate. We need to be more out there in the public. We need to be educating folks a lot more, and also showing them the linkage between how they can actually benefit from having those our flora and our fauna. We in St. Lucia, we like to cut trees too much. We like to deforest too much. We like to destroy things too much. Every time we see an animal, if we see any animal on the road, we do our utmost to try and pass over it.
Yes.
Okay, we see a lot of iguanas being killed on the road. Boas. Um, I mean, you see things like all these invasive species. Like you see things like the cane toad, what do you call the quapo,
The what?
quapo, cane toad, quapo.
That's the big frogs you normally see around hopping.
Yeah.
The
So
big ugly thing?
yes, things
Yes.
like frogs. These things are invasive. Fine,
Okay.
we can do these things, but then we should not have a deliberate culture where we want to target things like the Senufia iguana. You see what is ours, our animals, our native flora and fauna. We need to learn to preserve it and protect it. Maybe I should tell you what are some of our what are some of the reptiles that belong to St. Lucia.
Yeah, we did
Quickly.
touch upon that, but you can just go in a little because we still have about 5 minutes left.
Right, good. So actually in St. Lucia we have 12 we have 13 endemic species. No, not endemic, sorry. We have 13 indigenous reptiles in Indonesia. 13. Out of the 13, we have 7 reptiles that are endemic to St. Lucia. And by endemic, I mean you would only find this particular species of reptile in St. Lucia only. They would naturally exist only in St. Lucia, nowhere else in the world. So St. Lucia has 7 endemic, and we have 5 endemic subspecies. Okay. When it comes to birds, we have 5 endemic birds. 5. Okay, birds that you'll find only in St. Lucia. And among those birds, you have the St. Lucia parrot, you have the St. Lucia oriole, or what you call the cowouge. Then you have the St. Lucia warbler, you have the St. Lucia black finch, and you have the Semper's warbler, which has almost gone into extinction. With regards to the reptiles, we have our endemic reptiles are the following. You have the St. Lucia racer. That is a small snake we have on Maria Major only in Beaufort. You have the Senusia featherless, which is our only venomous snake. It is actually one that you'll find only in Senusia, that type. Then you have the Senusia whiptail lizards. Okay, the whiptails, you'll find the whiptails on Maria Major and Maria Minor in Beaufort, and you'll also find them on Prale and on Rat Island. Also, you have the Senusia pygmy gecko. Um, and then you have the pygmy gecko is a small gecko that you'd find.
Is that on Maria Island as well?
Yeah, Maria Island has a unique subspecies. There's a Maria Island pygmy gecko, and we have a subspecies there on Maria Island, but you also find it on the mainland as well in some parts of the mainland. Um, and so we have 7 of these endemic species. The St. Lucia boa is an endemic subspecies. You'd find that kind of boa only in St. Lucia. Um, the iguana, the St. Lucia iguana, is another one that is ours. As I've mentioned, the local St. Lucia iguana, the one that you find on the northeast coast. And so, as a small island, St. Lucia is a small island state. We only have 238 square miles. As a small island, we have an impressively um, large array of endemic reptiles and birds.
I must
If,
say.
if, if you go to other countries, like, for example, in the Eastern Caribbean, like Barbados, even Dominica, even St. Vincent and Grenada, you will not find as many as what we have. We have a good few reptiles and birds. And so we need to appreciate it. We need to learn how to live, coexist with them because they play a role in our ecology. We may not understand what role they play in, but then they play a major role. That is why. So, for example, they help to regulate. They have a regulatory role playing in the ecosystem.
System.
Also, they have a supportive role. They, in fact, the role that these things play, we may not understand fully, but they are important. And then if you were to take, maybe if you were to take out one or two of them, we may even have or create a problem, or we may even have an issue, um, imbalances in our ecosystem,
Ecosystem.
and so on. So we need to learn to appreciate them, learn to live with them. Another day we can talk about the featherless and the
And the
boa,
ball.
because right
Yes.
now it has spilled over as well into the super area.
Say what now?
We do have boas in the super area, and we also have the featherless is also encroaching into the super area. So another day we can discuss more about the featherless and the boa. But
Wow.
the people need to know that the iguana is not a harmful creature. It will not harm you. It will not kill you. It will not bite you and cause you to be to lose your you know to
Can you
die
just
or
say that in Creole for
oui.
them to
So
hear?
nous ka dese mouna ki souffouye. Nous ni on go leza, go zandoli yo ka kuye iguana. Et puis nous kay apprécier si gens souffouye aide nous pour nous ça contrôler population en go zandoli ça nous ni souffouye. So si pièce pour nous ouais en go zandoli côté qu'on
Ravenclair,
Zeno.
Zeno, Crestland, Diamond. N'importe côté region sous fouillère.
I didn't hear you say for that.
No, it's not. We haven't seen any in Force
yeah.
Jacques area.
Okay.
So si yo way souple kouye département la forêt, nous ni en office souffouye, ça kouye à numéro
720-8915 or our office number, which is hold on a bit.
I can give you my number. Numéro nous Forestry Kasui. Vous appuyez Wildlife Unit là at 518-7154. Vous appuyez numéro ça là.
Yes, number
518-7154.
Sufuya, office là c'est 457-1427.
So, nous savons, moun qui a dans jardin, de les boka yo ka we yo là, de les temps de bout la ka parler, ou ka just garder, ou ka wan iguana. Now, it est difficile pour ça just we yo nan pied bois parce que yo ni même couleur et pied bois. But de les temps là ou ka we yo ka passer, ou ka ten chien ka happy bagay comme ça. So, depuis we, fè un effort pour couiller nous ka venir point et puis aussi nous ka bay Jean Soufouye liberté. Si ou sa tchebe iguana qui Soufouye, mais un sac et den nous ka couiller forestry ka bon pour nous. Mais nous pas kay advise pièce Jean Soufouye pour ça. Point iguana mettez en caloche, tchebe là pour combien jours? Or point ek tchebe akwedi ici on pet. We don't want persons to have the iguana as a pet. Ek nou osi nou pa vle moun ka kon iguana sa soufouye ek meni lot kote set lisi.
And
Kon sa ki
also,
fet vie fo, nou pa vle sa fet. Paske nou ka spread iguana sa trop, ek an le, nou ka ni iguana sa old set lisi ek nou pa vle sa.
we do not want anybody killing the iguanas because not everybody would be able to differentiate it from the St. Lucian iguana.
Definitely.
So,
Yes, so
listeners, there you have it. If you are inside of any of these iguanas, please contact the forestry department or the wildlife officer.
merci beaucoup, thank you very much.
Merci un peu.
We
And
will,
thank you, gentlemen, for being here with us at Super FM.
thank you, thank
I'd
you.
also like to shout out our online viewers. Good morning, Margot, Bob, and all of you joining us on 88.5 Super FM. Thank you once again for tuning in. Please join us again next time. This has been your presenter, Lencia Mathry. Goodbye.